Hey, what's going on, crypto people? It is the Crypto Siege with another day in the life and the crazy life that is the digital asset space. Good morning. Happy Monday to you. So, guys, listen, really exciting times going on in the digital asset space. I know we've seen maybe once or twice we kind of covered or seen or heard from the Daily Huddle when he talked about the WEF, talking about XRP and really promoting Ripple and XRP for bridging these CBDCs. And I think that's important. That is absolutely huge. I think the regulatory clarity stance and position that Ripple has taken from day one, for the most part, and working with the regulators is going to prove itself out in the very near future as being something that was very smart to do. And so, yeah, so I went to a ripple.com article early this morning and totally forgot about the fact that Stu Alderati was on Blockstar's podcast with David Schwartz and talking about, the need for more clarity, not more regulation necessarily, but more clarity, and how Ripple has always been one promoting that. And it was interesting to see that some of the people from these banks in India was stating the very thing in terms of, especially for cross-border remittances. And I'll cover that as well. So some interesting stuff on Twitter we'll go over for sure. But look, October is going to be a very interesting month. I'm really looking forward to see in how that will go. The market is what the market is, and the market does what the market does. And so I saw Bitcoin for a bit. I thought I saw it as high as $10,900. And so that is interesting unto itself. It currently is, let me check where it is now, 10,884. So yeah, I did see the 10,900 for a bit. XRP is at 24 cents, so still 4 for $1. There, which is pretty cool. So yeah, so if you're in the position to take advantage of these dips, that would be very cool. Shout out to people from Algorand. Really excited about that project. Certainly want to do your homework and do your due diligence with that as well. But let me first go over here to YouTube, where Alex Mashinsky is on a panel with Tim Draper. And you should hear not Alex only send the praises of Tim Draper, but Tim doing the same for Alex Mashinsky as well. And I didn't know this, but Alex had pointed out to the host that Tim Draper is he said for two generations has been helping people, willingly help people and giving of his time. So he really promoted him and edified Tim Draper as a good dude. And Tim Draper in this interview also said, let us not forget that, Alex started the DeFi platform movement. Alex was the first guy to start it. And this is from Tim Draper saying this. So you definitely go to the Celsius Network channel and check out this video. They just posted it and listen to this interview. It's a really good one. But again, for my friend blockchain backer, and I say friend because XRP community member, haven't had a chance to speak with them yet, and Sam, I am. Again, you guys want to learn more about DeFi and learn more about Celsius, this is another great place for you to start and learn more about that so you can get a greater understanding for what's really going on. All right. So guys, go check that out for sure. If you haven't, Celsius Network on YouTube, go check this video out. It's a good one. And then check out all the AMAs and then just search AMA with Alex Mashinsky on YouTube if you want to see it from kind of like a third party perspective, right? Maybe he's on another show. Maybe he's on CNBC or MSNBC or CNN because he's on all of those. Maybe he's down on Wall Street or at the New York Stock Exchange. He's been in all of those places. Alex Mashinsky has and been interviewed from those particular spots as well. So I thought this was interesting here. And I wanted to just go over this briefly. What's at stake for U.S. when it comes to digital asset regulation? This came out in August, and this is by Stu Alderati, who's the lead counsel there at Ripple for the company Ripple. When projects and businesses guided by some of the best legal advice available still find themselves unclear about the position of U.S. regulators, something is wrong. Regulation applied consistently should lead to predictable outcomes, not regulatory gotchas that kill innovation, right? Our last post discussed the importance of smart digital asset regulation and why the U.S. is falling behind, dangerously behind. We are encouraged that some U.S. agencies are acknowledging and welcoming the benefits of this new technology to consumers, including the United States Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, right? And banks like the U.S. Office of the Comptroller of the Currency. So the people at Ripple, pay attention. It's not just us, right? So they know, how the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau was singing the praises of Ripple and XRP. Of course they do. But as a whole, industry participants who are searching for a path to regulatory clarity in the United States have been left to parse through an opaque patchwork of speeches, enforcement actions, and dizzying guidance. The key regulatory question in the United States today is this: which digital assets are securities? The answer to that question matters significantly. Complex and burdensome securities regulations, when incorrectly applied, smother industry innovation. Imagine imposing laws meant for the transfer of Apple stock to your purchase and sale of an iPhone, or worse, to every text sent or received on your iPhone. The U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission has exempted only 2 digital assets from the U.S. securities laws: Bitcoin and Ether. For all other assets, the SEC has mostly stayed silent, except when it has decided to regulate certain assets through enforcement proceedings. The net effect is that the SEC has affirmatively placed their good housekeeping stamp of approval on only 2 digital assets, both controlled by China. So again, this is from Stu already, and I think it's important to note that they put this out, right? Because it really does let us know where we are. It says Ripple's commitment to regulation. Ripple's responsible industry participants are not seeking to avoid regulation. To the contrary, we are crying out for smart, transparent, and principle-based regulation. At Ripple, we actively urge legislators to support regulation that does not disadvantage responsible United States companies. Our goal is to improve the financial system from within, working with regulators, governments, and central banks alike to improve the way the world moves money. Right. To learn more about our efforts to push forward crypto regulation in the U.S., read our open letter to Congress, signed by Ripple CEO Brad Garlinghouse and Executive Chairman and co-founder Chris Larsen. I remember when they put this letter out. And for even more insights around regulation, listen to my recent appearance on the Block Stars podcast. So here's the open letter to Congress that Ripple put out, signed by Brad Garlinghouse and Chris Larsen. That was in July of 2019, okay? And then here recently, July 14th of 2020, Stuart Alderati was on Blockcast, on Blockstars, which is the podcast, Ripple's podcast that's led by the CTO. Blockstars, how Beanie Babies should show digital assets need smart regulation. So this is a good listen to. If you want to check that out, I'm sure this will be a great thing. This is kind of to listen to, but this is kind of some of the what was said. They put it out here in the written form. Stewart is concerned that the United States is falling far behind those countries. Ultimately, the problem in the U.S. may be that cryptocurrency has principally been regulated through enforcement by the Securities and Exchange Commission. He says, and Stu points out that there was a good reason for that because of the ICO, right? A number of years ago in the U.S., there was this initial coin offering craze that raised real concerns about fraud and market manipulation. The SEC did their job and took a machine gun to the ICO craze, rightly so. But in doing so, they crammed this new technology into an old set of rules that involved orange groves, oil rigs, pay telephones, whiskey, and even beavers. And in doing so, we end up with a lot of examples of what the bad and what the ugly looks like but we don't end up with any examples or any ideas of what the good may look like in the United States, despite the SEC releasing a digital asset framework in 2019. Stu and many other observers believe that this non-binding guidance is too broad and can mean anything to anyone, and thus not particularly useful. What's probably most useful, concludes Stu, is if the SEC and the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, CFTC, were to join forces to solicit feedback from the industry and consumers. Then they could propose a workable framework that protects the integrity of the markets, protects consumers, but doesn't suffocate the innovation in the process. So you definitely want to go check that out. It's Ripple, this podcast. And you can probably find it on ripple.com/insights and find it there as well. But it is Blockstars on the major podcast, Spotify, Blockstars podcast with CTO David Schwartz, right? So definitely a good listen to. And I do believe ultimately that strategy that Ripple put in place to change the system with it and work alongside the regulators to better the space, not just Ripple's intentions or Ripple's benefits, but to benefit the space, the digital asset space as a whole, was a very, very smart move. So just a shout out to Ganesh Hiremath, who put this out. Breaking, leading Indian newspaper, the Economic Times, has published this today, a national strategy on blockchain and central bank digital INR, the CBDR, blockchain in financial applications. And this is, again, the reference in India. Individual transactions and cross-border payments for large transactions can be effected through a private blockchain where counterparty banks are members, drastically reducing costs and improving efficiency. Globally, several banks are forming consortia to take advantage of blockchain technology for efficient cross-border money transfers. Ripple Labs and R3 Quarter have led these consortia globally, and SBI-led consortium among Indian banks is exploring in its use case actively. And then he highlights something else here in reference to cross-border remittances, says, however, the financial organization serving as the intermediary has to be in tune with the regulatory environment to avoid any legal issues. This is why I led off with regulations and Ripple and Stu Alderati and the fact that Ripple, the company, with this not only with this letter to Congress, not only with having an office in DC, not only with having a PAC, working, looking to, make its point to Congress, has always been taking a regulatory standpoint. They've always been fighting that battle. They've always been hanging out in that lane because they know ultimately it's hugely important. Ripple uses probabilistic voting mechanism, right? And it's talking about the Byzantine thing. Talks about Stellar uses federalized Byzantine agreement protocol as well. But my point to this is really that the people in India understand that the banks want to know that they're working with some people that are regulatory compliant, and that 100% is Ripple. So this is from the BFSI.com. What is central bank digital currency? The CBDC is predicted to be the future, which has been accelerated by the pandemic. Here's all you need to know about it to stay current. All right, so this is a good write-up here, but again, this was coming from this here, blockchain and financial application, the BFSI economic, IndianTimes.com. And they're just going over that, the CBDCs, right? And the fact that it is going to be the future. And they point out some of the benefits here, the CBDC in India. And we already know about what Ripple, the company, and its partnership in India is going to be absolutely massive. But that does bring me to this from the Daily Huddle, when it talks about the World Economic Forum names XRP as crypto asset most relevant in central bank digital currency space. It's a pretty massive statement. The World Economic Forum is looking at Ripple's native currency, XRP, as the most relevant cryptocurrency in the emerging central bank digital currency space. Right? We always talk over and over and over about the many different uses of XRP. And to hear this coming from the WF, I think is absolutely, it's massive in a lot of ways. I know that this has been covered from the WF and talking about XRP before, but I do think it's important. In a report published earlier this year, the WF says that central banks and governments agencies are looking at the potential of CBDCs. And now my understanding is 70% of the central banks, 70 to 80% actually, are looking at CBDCs and what's the word I want to say? Putting into use, in place, these central CBDCs. So to solve perennial global financial issues such as financial inclusion and the stability of payment systems. The Geneva-based international organization also made a clear distinction between CBDCs and cryptos. CBDC is a digitized version of sovereign currency created, this is from the WF, and issued by, and a liability of the country's monetary authority. CBDCs differ from other forms of digital or virtual currencies, including cryptos such as Bitcoin and stablecoins, which are not issued by central banks or typically considered legal tender. In a recent blog post, Ripple notes that central banks around the world are locked in an arms race to develop their own CBDCs. The payment startup also explains how central banks can leverage XRP to facilitate and support the use of CBDCs. Right? So Ripple's on-demand liquidity service allows financial institutions to transact in real time across multiple global markets using the digital asset XRP. And such a solution can also support the direct exchange of CBDCs. Right? And so this is from Ripple saying this, but the fact that the WF recognizes the potential of XRP and Ripple and acknowledges their currency is absolutely huge. And XRP as that bridge asset to bridge these currencies is going to be a game changer. The WF recognizes it, which means it's been pointed out, in my humble opinion, to the G7s and the G20 as well. We all know about the Bank of England, how they've been highly touted. They're a Ripple customer, right? And so all things, in my opinion, really do favors Ripple and its technology. It favors XRP. Ultimately, a decision will be made, but I do believe in its chances. I believe in XRP's chances. So shout out to the Cryptic Poet for sharing this. Hyperledger's blockchain platform adds Visa and it adds Ripple's partner, SAP, to its growing membership. Right? So that's very, very cool to see that. Hyperledger's blockchain platform adds Visa and SAP, growing its membership in September. Absolutely great news. The more, the better. And the RippleNet and its network effect, trust me when I tell you, it is massive, 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 massive. Let me see. Do I want to cover that one or do I want to cover this one? Analysts at Prime XBT says XRP is the one to watch in late 2020 and into 2021. As Ripple forecast chart suggests that XRP is set to significantly outperform Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the rest of the crypto market. And is this the article here? This is the article right here. Prime, and this is on bravenewscoin.com, but this is from the trading Prime. What is it again? It's Prime XBT, I believe it's called. And I think that's hugely important to note as well. Where's that at? Prime XBT. Let me see a little bit of this article. I don't want to go over all of this article, but they're essentially saying that the chart's just looking good and they're expecting it to outperform Bitcoin and Ethereum. And so that is also very, very cool. Let me see what I wanted to read for you guys here. So go long XRP against the dollar or Bitcoin with Prime XBTT, which is really, really cool. Now Ripple's fallen back to a nearly flat baseline while Bitcoin and Ethereum have made decent recoveries. Next is Ripple's turn to recover. And in the past, when XRP breaks out, it rises over 3,000% or more. That's pretty nice to see. So there it is, guys. Listen. And we shall look for that, right? And see how that goes. But it is looking very, very good. Share the word about XRP. Don't forget what the top 1%, the top 10% looks like. Top 10%, you only need to hold 3,109 XRP. Top 1% is 82,625. Right? I love this quote from this tweet from Mac Attack XRP. Regulation is getting closer. ODL adoption will explode like a volcano. That day, you will be happy with your XRP. The current democracy is changing. A revolutionary shift is about to emerge in blockchain land, and we amateurs may well be the elite of the future. And certainly time will tell. Nicely done. Well said, my friend. All right, guys, listen, I'm going to wrap up this video like I do all of my videos and remind you guys of this. Old money doesn't want you to win. They don't want us to win. They would rather us remain a cog in their perpetual wheel of trading our time for dollars. They don't want us to play in the same playground that they play in, where we allow our money to work for us. This is our chance to win, guys. The digital asset space is our chance to win. We are in the midst of the greatest transfer of wealth in the history of man. Are you participating? Or are you standing on the sidelines? Here's what I do know, that the battle for you has already been fought, and the victory is yours. Go get it. I'll talk to you soon, guys. See ya. Bye.